Okay, everyone should be ready to go.
Thanks, Gaina. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Jim Rudderham, Director of Fleet and Forest Protection, and Dave Steeves, Public Information Officer for the Long Lake wildfires, will take your questions about the wildfire situation in the province. Outside of the media availability, from now on, all media inquiries about wildfires should now be sent to wildfirecomms@novascotia.ca. Wildfire, COMMS, @novascotia.ca. Jim and Dave have other commitments after this, so we have a hard stop at 1:30. We'll follow the same format as yesterday, one question and one follow-up. And please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen under the reactions section. If there's time after the first round, I'll circle back and offer one more question each to media in the same order as the first time until we run out. All right. So I'll start looking for hands. I see Natasha O'Neill, City News.
Hi. Oh, I didn't realize that they weren't going to be speaking first.
No. Actually, I'm sorry. That's right, they are.
I'm just preparing.
Sorry, Jim, did you want to go ahead?
Sure thing. Yep. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Yep.
So currently in the province, we have 11 active wildfires. Yesterday, our crews responded to 8 wildfires. Last evening, many will know that we had a thunder and lightning cells going through this province, which did drop some moisture, which will take any kind of moisture, but it's very dry out there. And there certainly wasn't enough moisture to help us really. And that lightning is now in the ground somewhere and waiting to pop up. So we expect the next day or two, maybe even 3 days, to be getting some more lightning starts, but we'll see how that goes. Report later. The Susie Lakes wildfire is still the same size, still being held, still being in the process of being put under control and put out. So that's good news with that. That fire is winding down, which is good. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. So I suspect very soon, with what we're getting and the crew actions on that fire, that fire will soon be not extinguished, but certainly put under control. That's for me.
Thank you. Dave, did you want to speak?
Sure. I can jump into a bit of an update here with what we're dealing with on the Long Lake Fire Complex. So we actually have 3 fires under our management umbrella that we're dealing with currently. 2 smaller ones, and then obviously the larger one. So I'll speak to the smaller ones first. We have a fire at Hoyt Lake, which is approximately 1 hectare in size. That is at a state of being held, as well as one at Durin Lake. That is 0.3 of a hectare, and that is also at a state of being held. So we are still actively monitoring and addressing any issues that may come up throughout the day. As I'll touch on here shortly, the conditions down here today are a bit more favorable than they have been in the days previous, but we're still dealing with a relatively explosive situation regarding the amount of moisture that's left in the fuels around. So we're being very particular and almost tenacious in the point that we're focusing on these fires as if we're still kind of in the midst of it. So we have 2 fires that are being held, and then obviously the larger one. So the Long Lake fire currently sits at 406 hectares. We have over 40 Department of Natural Resources staff, over 20 volunteer firefighters with multiple pieces of apparatus and side-by-sides and ATVs, as well as our air assets that are on site. And we did have a little bit of a shift in the weather that we got today. So yesterday, most of our winds were coming out of the south, and we had a cold front pass through last night. So this is the first day in a number of days that we haven't had a heat warning. So it's a bit cooler down here than it has been previously. But with that low pushing through, our winds have changed. Now they're more out of a northerly direction. So there's still going to be lots of smoke. It's just going to be in a bit different direction. With the change of wind came a bit of an increase in relative humidity. Relative humidity will not stop but slow down forward progression, which will make it a bit more easier for some of our ground crews and ground commanders to attempt to make some forward progression in regards to containment. So they're out there working hard, but as I said previous, the ground is very, very dry. Our fuel moisture levels are extremely low, and one small situation can turn into a very big situation very, very quickly. So we're taking our time to be diligent and to be safe, and to assure the tactics that we're putting in place are safe, but as aggressive as we can be given the current conditions.
Thank you, Dave. And now I'll go to you, Natasha. Sorry about that. Go
No,
ahead.
that's totally okay. My first question, I believe, will be for Dave. Yesterday, when we got an update, it sounded like there were flames like licking up the trees. Can you kind of describe if that is still active on the larger of the Long Lake complex fires?
Yeah, so in, let's say, about the last day and a half, we've had some relatively extreme fire behavior. Our flame lengths were quite high, which is an indicator to basically how dangerous the situation is that our crews were dealing with on the ground. Things have dropped back a little bit, but there is still the potential for things to get dangerous very, very quickly. Like I said, we are in the process utilizing some heavy machinery to really build up some of our guards on some of our more areas of concern around the perimeter. So we're working very diligently to build up those dozer guards. So fire behavior has dropped back a little bit, but the potential for things to spin very, very quickly is always there. Fire behavior is basically made up of fuels, weather, and topography, and the smallest change in any of those variables can turn the situation around very, very quickly, and we're aware of that. So we're definitely not out of the woods. We've just kind of been extended a small olive branch here to get some good work done, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to utilize the window that we have.
Natasha, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, I did. I'm not sure if this is best for Jim or Dave, but I believe yesterday there were some comments about water bombers and on this specific complex. I'm just kind of wondering if one of you can kind of explain why we're not seeing any sort of water bombers, given that this fire is much larger than the Susie Lake one, even though there are helicopters, of course, in the area, I believe. So yeah, just explaining the water bomber situation, why we're not asking for extra resources from our other provincial partners.
So there are and have been water bombers on this fire since it started. They're in the form of helicopters. And we did ask our neighbors for some help, and they came the first day of that fire with some water bombers from New Brunswick. As you can imagine, as you all know, the whole area, the whole Atlantic region has a lot of fires right now, and these assets are stretched thin. And we tried again to get some last night, and we were able to get them, but the weather kept them from coming. So we are actively trying to get the help. Last night the weather held us up for that, but we're still trying, and it'll come.
Thank you. We'll move on to Jake Webb next at Global, please.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You said there are now 11 active wildfires. I'm wondering if they're in a similar region or if they're just spread across the province, or where they are, as I guess is what I'm asking.
They're all spread on the mainland. There's nothing in Cape Breton yet, and I'm knocking on wood, but they're all on the mainland. They're in different stages. There's only the one out of control fire. There's 3 being held, and the rest are under control, but that doesn't mean they're out. So that's why we still class them as active.
Jake, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. You said crews are responding to 8, and I'm just wondering if that response is influencing, I guess, or affecting the emergency response at Long Lake at all.
No, it's not. We are very careful to leave enough resources at our home depots to attend to anything that pops up there. It is straining us. I mean, there's a lot of action taking place, but we're continuing to move resources around and recognize the time off that they need, and still try to maintain capacity for anything else that comes up in the home districts.
Thank you, Jake. We'll go to Andrew Sampson of CBC, please.
Hi there. This question, I suppose it could be for either of you. I guess what I'm wondering is, what are you expecting today in terms of movement for the fire? Do you expect it to continue to grow in the short term, given the resources and conditions today?
So the possibility of growth is definitely there. As I stated before, we're going to move on this as aggressively as we can because conditions have proved a little bit in regards to our spread rates. But as I previously said, like one small change in the wildfire environment can change everything. So we have to continue to work with the information that the weather is getting or giving us, excuse me, and utilize the resources that we have here to give us the greatest return on the resources that we have in the field. So the possibility for an increase is there, but we're going to work very diligently to do our best to keep them at a minimal level.
And just to follow up there, I'm curious where the discrepancy comes from between what is on the Canadian Wildlife Fire Information System, which has the fire at about 500 hectares now, versus the number that you're reporting, which is 406. What would account for that difference?
I really don't know. It should be the same because we give them those numbers. I'll look into that. I don't know why it should be exactly the same.
Okay. And I guess just one more. We're just curious with the thunderstorms last
That
night.
was two questions, Andrew. I just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to ask their
Sure.
question and follow up. And if there's time, we'll circle back. Michael McDonald with Canadian Press, please.
Yes, thank you. This one is for Dave. I'm seeking your opinion on Nova Scotia getting its own fixed-wing water bombers. What do you think?
Well, that's really kind of outside of my wheelhouse. That is more of a question probably for Jim. I do know the air resources that we have are very, very effective for 99% of the issues that we deal with. I've been a professional firefighter for over 20 years now, and the helicopter resources that we have are extremely effective. We have a group of very talented pilots. So when we do run into situations, our brother and sister agencies that we work alongside during fire season are always great to lend a hand when they can. So anything above and beyond that, I'll let Jim field that.
Jim, should we buy water bombers?
We did. We have 4. The rotary.
Fixed-wing, sorry, fixed-wing water bombers.
I think Dave answered that very well. The vast majority of our wildfires are easily contained by the machines we have, and we can access them when we need it from other agencies. Remember too that this is an extreme year where all the agencies are busy right now, but we continue to investigate and look at options to see what's best for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Ian Fairclough, please, with the Herald.
Hi there. Just wondering about the topography of where you're working. I mean, a lot of fires we have, it's easy to get somewhat half decent access through woods roads and existing logging roads. Just wondering what it's like up there and how hard it is to get the crews into access the areas they need to get to.
So some of the areas are extremely difficult to access, and anytime that you get any increase in slope or grade, that lends itself to a more or an increased level of fire behavior, because slope will lend the fire to actually bending towards the available fuels. When it does that, it dries the fuels out and combustion happens a lot easier. So there's an inherent risk for firefighters that are in the field when they're in areas that have high grade or high slope. So how we decide and how our ground commanders choose to attack that has to be very well planned and thought out. So there's a lot of behind the scene work that goes into that. Topography is always one of our greatest forethoughts when we're putting any of our tactical information together. So the topography and the terrain is rough in some spots, and the slope is lending itself to increased fire behavior at some points. Yes.
Yeah, and sorry, I was looking more as much there about how you're accessing, and if you have the roads to get there, whether you're able to get into where you need to be easily.
Yeah, from what I've been told, we have been able to access the areas of major concern yet. We don't know obviously what the future is going to bring, but we haven't really hit a wall yet in being able to access things that I'm aware of.
Thank you. We'll move on to Caleb Smith, please, with Global.
Hi there. I just have one question of clarity. First of all, I'm hoping that doesn't count. Weather prevented more air support yesterday. Was that fixed wing bombers that were requested?
Yeah.
Thank
Correct.
you. Thank you. And then as for my other questions, I know this may feel premature given its growth, but it's on the minds of everyone impacted. How soon could you rescind evacuation orders in West Dalhousie, and what is being discussed for longer term shelter?
So that definitely falls with the Department of Emergency Management and the local authorities. We would advise them on the activity of the fire, but as far as the return of plans or more evacuations, that of course falls to them.
Thank you. I hope that first one doesn't burn one of my questions, Patricia. I just wanted to seek the clarity.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. And Jim, you talked about the thunder and lightning cells potentially having impacts over the next couple of days. Can you explain that to the average person in terms of how it could be within days that strikes could spark a fire?
The ground right now in the province is extremely dry. The layers of right down through the soil is very dry. Lightning has a lot of power. It could drive into the ground and take some time to work its way back out again with fire. So that's why it's a pretty simple answer, basic answer, but that's it. It takes a while might take a while for it to pop up.
Great. And we'll move on to Brett Ruskin with CBC.
Hi there, folks. Another clarifying question about the water bombers. So there was weather that was an issue. Was that an issue where the bombers were taking off from, or was that where we were expecting them to drop water from? What exactly was the weather issue preventing the response from those bombers?
It was the thunder and lightning cells that moved across our province yesterday.
Perfect. Thank you.
And for your follow-up, Brett?
Yeah, just wondering, we have folks and firefighters who are graciously coming here from other provinces in Ontario. Do we still have our Nova Scotia folks in New Brunswick, and has there been any consideration in bringing them back home?
Yes, they were released by the province of New Brunswick. They'll be coming home on the weekend to go to work on our fires as well.
Great. I think we've covered everyone who had their hand up. And I'll circle back to the beginning of the list to offer media one question each. Natasha, did you have a question? Okay, I don't hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was muted. My bad. I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, but I'm wondering if we could have a tally of the number of homes that are now evacuated. I know yesterday it stood at 42, but with the expanded evacuation area, I'm hoping to get that tally.
It would be a guess from me. Dave, do you know?
I believe we're upwards of around 50 homes now, and there's a number of outbuildings as well that have been affected, and communication towers and some other infrastructure. That's I believe the most updated information that I have.
That would be my guess as well, from what I understand. Again, that information would come from the reasonable authorities.
Yes. Am I allowed to follow up or no?
We're not doing follow-ups for the second round just because we only have 8 minutes left. I want to make sure everyone gets at least one question in again. Sorry, Natasha. We'll go to Jake Webb, please, with Global.
Hi. Yeah. I'm wondering, with the forecast for the next couple of days, how is that expected to influence the Long Lake fire as it stands right now? I know it's hard to predict, but if you can, yeah.
Well, I guess I can give you a quick answer. For Department of Natural Resources, our lives basically revolve around forecasted weather and pre-planning in regards to wildland fire. So, as we know, in Nova Scotia, the weather changes from moment to moment. So we do our very best to adjust with resources personnel when that does happen. So it's hard to kind of give you an accurate answer on that regards to how it's going to affect oncoming behavior, because most times when we plan for any type of tactical response, we're planning for worst case scenario and hoping for the best, not hoping, utilizing the resources that we have for the best possible outcome. So we will recheck the most up-to-date forecasted weather, and we will move our plans around to facilitate what Mother Nature is going to give us the window to do.
Thank you. I'll go to Andrew Sampson with CBC.
Yeah, I was hoping you could paint a bit of a picture about what crews are doing physically on the ground right now in Long Lake.
There's a lot of folks that are actually out there with fire hose in hand. There's a lot of on the ground patrolling going on. As Jim alluded to just moments ago, the ground is extremely dry. And fire has a tendency to hide underground until conditions are almost perfect. So even the smallest fire takes an extensive amount of work before we can actually say that it's extinguished. Sometimes you're crawling around on your hands and knees, feeling the ground with your hands, looking for areas of concern. So it's everything basically from working with machinery, guiding and creating fire breaks, to folks out there with fire hoses, to other staff members out there with shovels and fire axes, digging up moss mounds and rotten wood, looking for that, that one possible spark that could cause a problem. So we're really covering the gamut on everything that we can possibly do to ensure that we can get folks back into the community as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Michael McDonald, Canadian Press.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ian Fairclough with the Herald.
Yeah, just with the rain, I know in some areas there was more, in some areas there was less last night. I'm just wondering how much actually came across the top of the South Mountain and what effect that has on any of the unburned areas, or if it really is going to be able to have any positive effect at all, just with how dry it's been already.
Well, I can speak to that. I stayed in the Greenwood area last night, and there was enough rain to get a little bit of a puddle on my top of my truck when I came out. And when I got to the incident command post, we checked the rain gauge here, and there was absolutely nothing. So it takes a small amount of precipitation to affect our finer fuels, and our finer fuels, like the leaves and the grasses and whatnot, carry that fire into other avenues of the wildland environment. But this situation is different because the area is so dry that one small spark can kind of change everything. So in order for us to be comfortable in regards to an amount of precipitation received, we're going to need an extended amount of rain over an extended amount of time to make any real difference.
Okay, thank you. And last up is Brett Ruskin with CBC, and that'll be our final question.
Thanks, Patricia. Just wondering, we missed our chance to have the water bombers come in because of weather in the area. Does that mean that now we're front of the line now that weather's cleared up and we'll get the water bombers eventually or soon? Or does that mean that we missed our chance, we're back of the line now in terms of urgency of getting the water bombers here, the fixed wing bombers?
It's a constant conversation with our partners. They base it on their need and our need and impacts and all that stuff. So it could happen again today. We don't know. It's just, we didn't miss our chance to go to the bottom list. The answer is no.
I think I missed Calum. I'm sorry. I apologize. Calum, you're the final question of the day.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to clarify if there's any cause that's been determined or suspected as it pertains to Long Lake.
As I mentioned yesterday, just from the patterns we've seen in that area and the remoteness of that fire, and I would almost guarantee that was started by lightning.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our presser for today. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stop.